The CDC strips away the mask for the vaccinated, but consider the ethical questions that face us in this new phase. A new study from Detroit Future City confirms what many have feared about opportunity in Detroit, while the last phase of work begins on the Detroit riverfront. Today is Sunday, May 16, 2021, and this is Flashpoint. Hi, welcome to Flashpoint. Have you jettisoned the mask? The CDC told us Thursday that if you're vaccinated, you don't need a mask indoors or out. Michigan followed yesterday morning. But while some were ready for facial liberation, others are going to play it safe for both themselves and others for a while. This announcement kind of kneecapped that Michigan plan that was built around hitting vaccine benchmarks to earn our way toward maskless living. But certainly the reasoning was the same, trying to incentivize people to get the vaccine. But we're moving into a tricky area now. Is it okay for you to ask someone if they've been vaccinated? Is that any of your business? Or in a worldwide health emergency, is it everyone's business? That's just one ethical conundrum, and we're going to dig into those and many others coming up. Also, Detroit Future Cities is tomorrow releasing a new report on opportunity in Detroit, and despite efforts to balance the playing field, there is a clear opportunity gap that remains in the Detroit revitalization efforts. But the report also suggests included fixes for it, and we'll talk about them. And a little later on, the extraordinary Detroit Riverwalk. It has been an amazing success story. It's just one more section to go, and ground was broken on it on the east part of the Riverwalk this past week. We'll talk about that too. It's all today on a busy morning on Flashpoint. I had no doubt about where I wanted to start this morning. We've talked about the pandemic's ethical challenges often over the last year on this program. And with Thursday's announcement on mask freedom from the CDC for those who have been vaccinated, several ethical questions became even more acute, it seems to me. Do we all have an ethical duty to our fellow citizens to be vaccinated? Is your vaccine status any of my business? Can I hold it against you if you choose to exercise the right not to get a vaccine? On and on and on these questions can go. Let's talk about them with two medical ethicists. Dr. Michael Stellini, clinical professor of medicine at Wayne State, is back with us. And Jeffrey Burns is a medical ethicist and assistant professor of philosophy at Grand Valley State. Great to have you both here. Dr. Stellini, let me start with you with, I guess, the most pressing question that we have right now. Can we mandate that people be vaccinated, rather?
Well, I think the precedent here is that we actually mandate that children be vaccinated before going to school. Of course, there are a lot of children who aren't, and it written into law is an exemption for medical reasons. And I think that many people who are against vaccinations will use the medical exclusion, even though I can't think and have never heard of any religious tenet that addresses vaccination. But in our country, we hold religious freedom very highly, appropriately so. And so it's a way that people, have gotten into laws that we can avoid mandates. We have mandates that children will have certain vaccinations before going to school, but not all kids are vaccinated before they go to school.
Given what we know about the mask and the vaccine, is it okay for airlines to mandate that someone has to be vaccinated, or can someone simply choose to not be vaccinated but wear a mask to board a plane, this very confined traveling space?
Well, I guess one way there's ethics, there's laws, and there's practicality.
Right.
I think we all do about that, right? So for the government to say to go to school or to do something on public property, people can make a big argument about our freedom and constitutional rights, and the government can't, force us to do things. I think it could be looked at differently for private entities. For example, an airline is a private company. A casino is a private company, a restaurant, et cetera. So I can't discriminate against you because of your gender or your ethnicity, or we're not quite sure about sexual orientation. The laws are getting murky there. Yeah. Legal, but I suppose I could say that you cannot come into my establishment if I'm worried that you might infect me or my other customers, and a private company could probably get away with that.
We have seen a lot of people making demands about that they should be allowed to go in somewhere without a mask. They seem to miss that part of of a private company's right to choose on their side as well. Jeffrey Burns, talk a little bit about how you see this intersection. We are an American society that has HIPAA laws. We seem to believe there's a certain sacrosanct nature toward our medical history, and yet we have to marry that with the interests of public health.
Well, I think you're exactly right to point out that these are in tension, our sort of deep cherishing of privacy, particularly around medical things, and the way in which that comes up against a certain public risk when we are talking about a virus that is transmissible in public spaces. I think we really have to hope that the decisions that we make can be guided by the best empirical evidence, the best science about transmission, and who and when we're at risk. We know that we make exceptions from HIPAA and privacy when we think about airline pilots and their medical history and other people whose health and health history has an impact on those around them, and we entrust our safety and health in their hands. Sometimes they give up some of that privacy. That may be true in the current situation when people who've been exposed to the virus or whether or not they've been vaccinated, it's reasonable to think that they may be asked questions about their medical history, such as have they been vaccinated.
Well, you know, there's a special problem that also exists here, and that is the problem of asymptomatic spread, which makes this disease a little bit more difficult to sort of legislate. In a way, Jeffrey, it becomes the way we looked at secondhand smoke. We decided years ago that you weren't allowed to pollute my air with secondhand smoke. It's the same thing. You can choose not to get a vaccine, but you don't have the right then to perhaps give me the virus, even though you might know that you have it, right? Doesn't that make this a little tricky?
That's exactly right. Well, people need to understand that our best science and our best understanding of these things changes. We didn't understand the role of secondhand smoke, and we have an evolving understanding about transmission of this virus, and we'll have evolving understanding of future viruses. As our best knowledge changes, the way in which your actions impact upon me, the way in which my actions impact upon you will change, and that may follow. There may be restrictions that follow from that changing information.
Yeah. Dr. Stellini, the political sort of regurgitation that has been dumped into this entire argument is so regrettable, but I got an email last week from a woman asking when we were going to start covering the conservative side of the vaccine instead of just the liberal side. I don't know what to do with that. We're covering medicine, I think, on a daily basis. I'm not sure it has a political persuasion, and yet that also affects our ability now to sort of make efforts toward good public health policy, right?
Right, absolutely. You know, going back to the vaccination for children, it's understandable that parents are going to want the very best for their kids, not want to harm their kids, and people are going to have doubts, and sometimes those doubts are based on people without much scientific background saying things that are sort of just plain silly. But we're facing like tenfold that issue now with the politicization of the whole coronavirus, the pandemic, the vaccination, and the fact that people think there's a political and liberal view of the vaccination. It blows my mind. And as you were saying, where do you go with that? I'm sad. I'm so sad as a physician and somebody who cares about public health that it's gone that way. We could probably go on for a long time about why, but I think what's most important is that we help our fellow citizens understand this is not about politics. You can have your view about fiscal policy or other moral values in society, and there's lots of them, right? But this is not one of those. Absolutely not one of those. This is public health. This is science. The science isn't perfect, and as Dr. Burns said, to go with what we know. I hope we can educate our fellow citizens and help them understand that this is something that's for the good for all of us. That's really where I think we're going. Mandates, prohibitions, those kind of things never work and they backfire. Yeah. Mandate something, but we still have to deal with the education and the understanding and people's fears and misunderstanding. And that's where I hope that people who understand the science and know it, not to say that we're superior people because we're in medicine, but certain people know certain things. I don't fly airplanes, I ride on them, but I don't fly them, right? I'd be crazy to get the pilot.
We absolutely rely on the expertise of many others. However, and the last point on this, Dr. Burns, if you would, those who say, look, this vaccine hasn't been around very long, and in fact, it still only has emergency authorization. It's not fully approved. They've got a point, don't they?
Well, they're not wrong that it has emergency approval right now. But the fact is the technology has been around longer than the vaccine, this particular COVID vaccine itself has been. So we know a little bit more about this, I think, than sometimes people give us credit for knowing. Second, the reason why it's only under emergency use is to hurry up to get it out for the safety of the people who are at risk from COVID itself. So some of that has been a strategic decision, not to truncate the science, but to expedite things as quickly as possible, removing a lot of the paperwork and the red tape in order to get this vaccine out to the people who are most at risk. Mandates and so forth may serve to make some people feel better, but it also runs the risk of entrenching the polarization around the vaccine itself, and we might be better served to put some of that same energy toward education.
We have just scraped the first layer of icing on a massive ethical cake, but it's a pretty great start on a really important conversation. I thank you both so much for the time. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you again soon, I hope.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
You got it. We'll continue with more. A new report on opportunity in Detroit. Who's getting it? Who isn't? This is Flashpoint on Local 4.